listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome. Welcome to Second Wind Podcast. This is your host, Joyce Buford, and I am here on this special recording so that we can talk about 2022. Now, most of us have had a 2021 year that was, could have been stressful, could have been isolating, could have been sad. And I hope through that year that you have been able to have some joy and some happiness. Certainly, we have had to adapt to our year of COVID. So this is the topic that I wanted to share with you on this New Year's Eve recording, because New Year's is just around the corner and I really wanted to connect with you about looking forward. We can put 2021 behind us. It's gone. And I have to say, I don't think COVID is, however. And so it will be on our radar for the next year, possibly in some form or fashion. And so it is almost becoming a way of life, adapting to it. My story was really funny about Christmas because I love to sing, and I am in a choir at my Methodist church. And so during the holidays, we sing. We do performance after performance after performance. We did a version of the Messiah, then we do another version with lessons and carols. And we are a good choir. Can I kind of tell you that? We're very blessed to have some really good voices that have gone on to create their own futures in singing and opera and all over the United States. So we are very blessed to have the use of their voices when they're back in town, as well as there are many talented voices in the choir. But anyway, so we're getting there for the final evening. It is Christmas Eve, and we do 3 performances. That's where we sing Christmas carols. We do one at 5, one at 7, and one at 9. I can tell you by the end of the evening, it was a long evening. But it was very interesting because just before we went on, we were informed that someone in the choir had COVID. Now, there's such a thing as they just won't tell us anything. So, of course, the person that had the COVID was not there, but we were all there to listen and to try to decide, well, some people got the text earlier in the day. I missed my text from our choir leader. And so I went on to the event, to the church early because we had to be there at 4. And people said, well, what did you think about the COVID? And I went, what do you mean? So I was a little uninformed, and I got there and I was already there. And so I stayed and sung. But many people had decided not to participate that night because of their own personal vulnerability and having been exposed to somebody that had COVID. So anyway, I went home that night and started thinking about what I would do, since I have no idea where that person was sitting. We have 50 people in our choir loft. And so I had no idea where they were sitting. I knew nothing. And so, like everybody else in the choir. So anyway, I decided that I would not participate in the choir, and I would take 2 or 3 months off so that hopefully we can pass through this next variant of COVID. But it's always very frustrating for me to make that decision. And it's one that every person has to make. It's your individual story. It's how do you want to play out your life? I choose not to be totally vulnerable every time I sing. And so I chose that for me, I'll go back, pull back from choir again, and wait for COVID to settle down again. So, anyway, it made it kind of a long Christmas. Mika and I, Mika, my dear sweet puppy, who is now big and full of energy, um, was with me. And thank heaven for that, because it made the day go smoother and quicker. And anyway, it was an interesting Christmas. I don't think I've ever spent a Christmas by myself. Excuse me, Mika. I didn't mean that. You're always with me. But I never spent one alone. And it was actually, it was like any other day without presents. My daughter and her family were sick, not with the COVID, I don't think. But anyway, it was really a crazy Christmas. So I have turned my thought toward the new year. I'm ready. I'm ready to face what 2022 has ahead of us. And just like you, I'm sitting back and I'm revisiting my life as it looked this year and what I want it to look like in the new year. I think you'll remember that I experienced some grief that kind of turned my path. It's one of those defining moments where I went through some serious grief over loss of a loved one, two loved ones, and it sort of just sat me down. And so, with that being the situation, I did a lot of self-serving, self-searching in the earlier months of the year, which has been so beneficial. And I've enjoyed writing and getting into creating words and stories and um, creating reading material. So I have been on that search just like you. We're all we're made from the very same cloth in that life is always changing. And it's really important that we get pretty clear about ourselves. And it takes that defining moment, such as grief for me, such could be grief for you, grief, loss of a loved one, moving, anything that just really shakes your foundation and makes you step back and ask, where am I going? What do I like in my life today? What don't I like in my life today? So, what do I need to be doing? And my suggestion is you need to be doing those things that give you happiness and joy and fulfillment. That was my takeaway from the beginning. Because when you are working in what I'm calling those areas, those are your genius areas. Those are the areas that you do without any hesitation, you do without any thought. They just become natural reactions to you. So, if you're good up in front of a crowd, do something in front of a crowd. If you're good telling a story, tell your story. If you're good organizing, do something organizing going forward. If you're good at working with people, work with people. But if you're good at sitting quietly, you like to help other people manage their lives, then go into coaching, go into therapy. Just make a change. If your life is not living in the direction and not providing you with joy and fulfillment, you have to kind of take some time, retreat, if you will, go back into your bedroom, close the door, take walks outside, meditate when you can, get really connected. Breathing is some of the very important things that you need to do. Learn how to deep breathe while going into a meditation period or time. Breathing and meditation, breathing and listening, breathing and calming your soul, staying on solid ground is how you come to know who you are. It's how you come to value what you give to the world. And here we thought we had to change ourselves. But the more you stay in the joy and the happiness of who you are, the better you serve your world and the family and friends that are gathered around you. This is important. So, what I did maybe 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, I wrote a book called Core Values, Finding Your Core Values. And I called it not Finding Your Core Values, but Effortless Happiness. Because when you are living in your core values, the values that you find beneficial in your life, when your daily life is made up of those values, then you're living the best life you can. And you're doing it much easier and much happier and much more filled with joy. So I called it Effortless Happiness. And the subtitle is How to Find Your Voice and Finally Ask for What You Really Want. So I'm breaking you in and sort of slowly leaning you toward finding your core values. What makes core values so important and so necessary to find? Because when you find them, you find freedom to live your life as you were meant to live it. Now, we're going to spend a little time identifying those core values. So, the first thing I would do in helping you make this change, is that there are 7 areas that our lives are divided between. And when these areas are aligned, then they make life easier. They don't necessarily I'm going to just read off the 7 areas, and then we will identify which one in your life is more important. They may not fall as I read these off. So the first one is health and fitness. Second is spiritual fulfillment. Third is societal contributions. That would be working for a nonprofit or giving to your church or giving time to another nonprofit, helping students read. Those are called societal contributions. Personal growth. You know, we didn't just graduate from school and stop learning. I have probably enjoyed learning far more in my older years than I did in my first through 12 years and then on to college. It just seems to be there's more of a hunger on my part, and I am so much more relaxed in knowing there's no test coming. The only test is that I keep growing and offering more to people that are listening to me and working with me. So personal growth is really, really interesting. I do my personal growth through courses. I do it through travel. I do it through uh, online study courses, working with coaches that can guide and direct me. There are a lot of ways to have personal growth. Financial success. That's another growth area. For me, my financial growth has been one of my most interesting paths. It's not always my best decision tool, but it's always a challenge and keeps us moving forward. Professional career. I have been I have been a wife and a mother. I have been a museum director, which was very fun and full of fulfillment. A group of us got together in Tyler, Texas, and created this children's hands on museum. One of the best things I have ever spent my time in. Then I moved away. I went through a divorce. I moved away and I went to spend some time in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And most of the time I would be intermittently traveling, which gave me great pleasure to do and to learn that way. I also gave to the museums and to other organizations in Santa Fe for, and because I'm a nonprofit person, I'm one that likes to support and build other communities in the city. Then there's also my personal relationships. This is another area that you need to look at. Now, there are 7 listed here, but you don't have to take them in that order because every year we change, our priorities change. Now that I am older, my priorities are more about getting to know myself and spending more time in developing me. Really making sure that I am on the right path for me. Now, I love podcasting. I love sharing with people. So I don't think that's going to go away because I get so much joy and fulfillment out of this as one of my career choices. I love women that I interview. I love that we give to you listeners out there a message, a direction that there are other women that have gone through some of the sadness, the sorrow, the frustration, the pain, the growth, and they have come out on the other side with more knowledge, with more confidence, with more purpose, with more pride and accomplishment. And the list goes on. Because when you go through the pain, there is always growth on the other side. I know a lot of people would like to skip the pain part. I would have. It's a lot more difficult to get over and to work around when your body, your soul, your heart, everything's hurting. But you have to, those moments, you have to keep the faith. This is taking me somewhere. This is one of those important divining moments that is taking me to a positive outcome. So, what I'd like for you to do, hopefully you've got your pen and you wrote these down. So the first one was health and fitness. Second was spiritual fulfillment. Third was societal contributions. Fourth is personal growth. Fifth is financial success. And that's another word. What is success to you? Good word, but it doesn't mean the same to everybody. So Find out what your financial success would look like. Is it money in the bank? Is it money to give to the church? Is it giving away to the poor? What is your success with round finances? Professional, what is the career that you want? Are you on the path that you want to be on? And then 7 is the personal relationships. Have you grown with your relationship? Are you in a relationship? Do you want a relationship? These are all things that you will want to reflect on when this year you create your core values, your values for the year, in the order that they're coming. So for me, it's really about self-awareness, which is, I would say, from this list is personal growth, self-awareness, aware of who I am, of where I want to be, of my career. Sometimes they overlap, as you can see. And then the other one that I've chosen is self-improvement, which falls under the health and fitness, keeping my health and my body healthy, instigating exercise, massage, meditation, those things that will calm our spirits and keep us grounded for our daily life. Now, under each one of those, you will take the time to make a list of what you're calling those. In other words, in health, I put as my answer self-improvement. But under that self-improvement, I also listed what those things would be. I want to begin a massage regimen. I want to walk regularly. I want to maybe start some yoga, maybe not all at the same time either. Don't try to do everything at the same time, but ease into your new patterns that will help and benefit your life going forward. Financial success is always, for me, is always a part of my life. In other words, how to keep successfully and financially solvent is important. And it's something that we all have to work on. You may think about, where do I live? Am I living in the right place? Do I need to search for another place that would allow me to do my new fulfilled career? I'm always admiring people that once they decide their career is not being benefited in the place where they live, they just simply close the doors, shut the windows, and pack their goods, load the car, and head out to find who they are. I think that person is brave. And I think they many times will find their path quicker than if we stay and try to fit our environment to us. So take that list, and under each one, break it down, write those things that you would be benefited by, or you're thinking those need to be adjusted to increase more activity. And as you can also see, mine really didn't fall in the same order that I read them out to you in this book. I don't really suggest that you go full out on all 7 at one time. I think you choose the first 3, that are your most important. And under each one of those, you'll break them down even more. So the keys to designing your life is realizing that you create your reality. You create it. So you must take action. But to take action, you have to be clear. Moving before you're clear really wastes time, money, energy. It's wasted. So once you get a clear picture of what you want to create, for instance, a better looking body, a healthier body, then it takes, what am I going to do to create the healthier body? You have to also, for me to get up and walk every day, I'm going to have to remove some blocks and limitations that I have created over the years. Just don't want to do it. That's one block I have. But the block is not really, the block is not really reality. I can't improve my body if I don't do the walking. So it's a choice. What will you choose to do to improve your body? So you make that decision, you make that list, and then you put it into a plan. How will I do this? When will I do this? And you just simply do it. You don't wake up that first morning and go, oh, yay, I get to go out and walk for 30 minutes. It doesn't usually come that way unless you've got a really good friend walking with you, which is not a bad idea. Get you a buddy so that you'll have somebody to walk with. I have my new puppy, but right now she's in training stage and she is getting bigger than I am, stronger than I am, and she almost pulls me. She's walking me. Instead, I want to be in control to walk her. So for a while, we may not be walking together, but that is my goal, to eventually give her the joy, because she's a big dog. She wants the exercise. She needs the exercise. So that is my goal, is to be able to walk with her in a controlled manner. To do that, I have to create the plan. What is my plan going to be? So the plan is for me to get into the habit first, to begin walking Mika, my dog, slowly, a block at a time. But I need to be much more aggressive and walk at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes, 3 times a week. So that's my plan. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I'm probably going to get up and do it early. Just at the time the light comes up, so I know nobody will get me. And I can begin walking at the pace that I prefer to walk. I will be programming my mind for the success, not as my body looks today, but as it will look as those pounds drop off, as the muscles in my legs develop and become stronger. And then I will be able to perform, act, be more cautious about stairs, walking the streets, so forth. All of that is needed to have a good physical life. So this document that I'm sort of using as a guide today was prepared by Zolita Grant, and she has the mindset for success.org is her, um, website. She and I have worked together for quite a few years. I was my very good fortune to find her at a workshop that had attended, and we immediately appreciated each other and decided